So this is going to be is this a third webinar we've had? This is a third webinar we've had in our series of webinars. This one is going to be for all of our students. If you're on the call, it's going to pertain to all of you. Some of it will pertain mostly to our undergrad students. Some of it will pertain mostly to our graduate students. But we're going to talk about everything. So I really need you to pay attention and follow along, so you understanding if this is required of you or it is not required of you as a graduate, undergraduate, or exchange student. So welcome to Middle Tennessee State University. We are glad you are here. We're going to have a lot of information today. Come on, there we go. Okay, this is everything we're going to talk about today, and I've changed this. I've color-coded things. So everything that's in pink is primarily for our undergraduate students on an F1 visa. Everything in green is for everyone, including our exchange students. And everything in orange is primarily and almost exclusively for our exchange student, our graduate students. So there's a whole set of things that the graduates are allowed to do, but we're going to cover everything. So please pay attention. I have not color coded through the entire presentation, so I will try to remember to say this is primarily for graduate. This is primarily for our undergraduates. But we're going to cover a lot of information. If you have questions, please write them down. We're going to take questions at the end. Again, for your information, we will not be addressing questions regarding your admissions, questions regarding your specific I-20 issuance. Those specific questions are going to be emailed to us. So I will not address those in the chat. We're going to address questions that deal with this PowerPoint presentation only. So if you have questions, something specific, please email us. Okay, so we're going to talk about the placement test. We're going to talk about the English survey, immunization requirements, housing, customs, international orientation, orientation week, employment, and last but not least, graduate assistantships. So it may or may not be in this order, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So the first thing I need you to do, if you have not already done this, is set up your student accounts. This is very, very important. Most of the offices here at the university will not communicate with you only to your MTSU email. So if you have not set up your MTSU email and your pipeline account, you need to do that. Okay, so you must have your MTSU student account set up before the next step. Before you can do anything, you need to have these set up. The custom staff, academic advisors, and professors will only use your MTSU email. Most of those were to choose to communicate through the learning platform D2L, which you will set up after you arrive. University staff will not use your personal email. Our office is about the only one that uses your personal email. And we prefer to use your MTSU email. So if we send it to your email, either one, and you do not get that or see that email, that is up to you. So you need to make sure you are monitoring both accounts. Many students, you can connect those two accounts on your phones. But these have been your MTSU email is your primary source of information from the university, from any office, from your academic advisor. You need to find a plan to monitor this email account now, because you will get 10, 15, 20 email in this account alone every day. So it is not unusual for us to get 50 or 60 email a day in our accounts dealing with students. So you need to find a way of managing that account. Okay, so if you want to go, they have ITD has set up a special account, a special link that will lead you through the steps. You must know your M number in order to set up your accounts. So for those of you who have applied, when you applied, you should have received a bounce back email that included your M number. The M number is in that first paragraph in red. You need to have your M number. Please, please put your M number in the subject line or in your signature somewhere. Put your M number every time you email us. If you do not, we cannot find you. And if you send us an email and we don't have a name, we don't have an M number, it's very difficult for us to find you in our system. So I will now email back and say, give me your M number, or at least give me your first and last name so I can find you. It's good courtesy, it's good manners. Include your name, include your M number whenever you're emailing anyone at the university, especially your professors. Okay, for our undergraduate students who are coming on an F1 visa. Okay, if you happen to be on an L or an H visa or on an employment authorization document and you're on this call, yes, you are required also to take this. Graduate students do not, exchange students do not need to take the placement test. So I'm about to send you an email. I got verification from the departments yesterday. It's going to look similar to this. It's going to have a form. So the first thing you're going to do is click this form. So what this form is going to do is see if you have the internet capabilities to take the test. If your internet is not stable, they will probably say you need to wait and come to campus to take the placement test. Students do this, it's okay. The placement test is easier for you, for us, if you've taken it online prior to coming. The second thing you need to do is take the English survey. So this is free. It's a self-administered self-answer. You're just answering questions about your English ability, your English experiences, those kinds of things. So both of these are required before you can, number one, meet with your professor, your academic advisor, and you must have both of these done before you can register for classes. So we're going to talk about customs in a minute. If you register for customs, but you don't have these two things finished, your advisor will cancel your appointment because you're not ready to meet with the advisor. You need to have these two things done first. I believe some of you may have received an email. I sent your information over to the department handling the placement test. So you may have this information already. I'm going to resend it from the International Admissions email. So you will have it again. Okay, so the placement test again is required of all new incoming students, not just our international students, all students. Anybody is required to take the placement test. The J students, your exchange students, you are exempt. Graduates do not need to take this test. The other way you can be exempted from this test is if you have submitted your ACT or SAT scores. Now, you may have sent those to us. You may have sent them to us through the Common App. You need to make sure you go back to the testing service and ask that your scores be sent to MTSU. When that happens, we will get thousands of scores every day, and then we have to manually put those and match your scores with the student. So it's also important that when you take your test, you're using the same name that you used on your application, because if the name and that don't match up, your scores will be in limbo, and then we have to go look for them. So when you've done this, you need to make sure that you are, number one, using the same name, and you have actually requested that the SAT and ACT scores be sent to MTSU. Just telling us that you taken the test is not good enough. You need to make sure that you've taken the step of sent these to our university. If you are transferring from a university within the United States, you must have had one English course and one math course. These are degree-bearing courses. These are not ESL or developmental courses. You must have at least one English, one math that you passed with a C or better, and then we can exempt you from the placement test. As of right now, all of you have a hold, all undergrad students have a hold on your account. You have one for the placement test, one for the English survey. They will stop you from doing anything until you have taken the placement test and completed the English survey. So we're going to get into the steps for the placement test in a couple of minutes, so please do pay attention. It's a little bit convoluted. Okay, the placement test. This is the reading and math test. What it does is places you at the correct level. So we have several different levels of reading and several different levels of math. What we don't want for you is to get into a high level math and be struggling for the entire semester. So this test is placing you at the correct level as where you are right now. You don't want to spend a lot of time studying for the test, because then you might get into a class that's more difficult. And then you're struggling with your math class, you're struggling with your reading class, you're struggling with the culture, struggling with the food. It's too many things to have going on at the same time. So take it as it is. Take the test. Don't prepare for it. Don't study a lot for it. Yeah, one more thing. When we teach reading here, we teach reading with American history. So this is probably the most difficult course you will have in your general education courses. So we teach reading, but when you're reading about American history. So when I'm meeting with students, I recommend that in the interim between now and August, or when you come, study a little bit about American history, so the subject is not brand new to you. But it is a difficult course. And if one of my first year students comes to me and says, I'm having trouble with one of my classes, 9 times out of 10, it's going to be this reading history class. So do try to prepare a little bit before you come about American history. Know a little bit about it. So again, you will not be able to schedule your classes until you've taken the placement test. If you, for some reason, get an appointment with your advisor and your advisor sees you don't have the placement test, they will cancel your appointment. All right, the steps. And again, I'm going to put this in the link in the email. I'm going to go cover it here. It is a several step process. The first thing you need to do is take the survey. Okay, remember, this is going to let you know, do you have the internet capability? Is your internet strong enough and stable enough to take the test? If your internet drops, they will cancel the test and ask you to take it when you come to campus. So after you've submitted the survey, you will be sent a voucher to take the placement test. Now, along this step, you're also going to need to pay for the test. So you must use the voucher to take the test. So just because you have the voucher, our office or university college also, we do not schedule the test for you. You must take that next step and schedule the test. You're going to pay 2 different fees at 2 different times. The first fee goes to the test sponsor Examity. The second fee goes to MTSU. You're paying these at 2 different times through the process. So, we're going to get into that a little bit. So if I can get into it, I will ask maybe University College to give us a webinar on exactly how to do this. Once you've registered into your account, you've taken your test, your results will automatically go into your account and your advisor will be able to see the scores that you've taken. The English survey scores, I believe, are actually sent to you when you finish the test, and they were often sent to me as well. Your advisor will then use these scores to put you into the correct math and reading classes that are appropriate for your level. Okay. English survey. English survey is very simple. It is just that. It's a survey. You're going to answer a series of questions. This is only for our international students. And again, there is a hold, and until you've done both this and the placement test, you won't be able to register for classes. This is a self-evaluation. There are no right or wrong answers. You're going to answer honestly. If you try to make it sound like you have better ability, it's going to mean your classes will be more difficult for you. And again, it's not worth doing that because you're struggling with too many factors at the same time. The results will be sent back to you soon after you finish the test. If you take it on a Saturday, you need to let the staff get in on Monday and get those results processed. So be aware that sometimes the weekends we don't work all weekend. Okay, MTSU Customs. We have a special system set up for our international students. We have 3 customs dates. These are virtual because you're not allowed to enter the country until 30 days before the start of classes. So you will not be able to enter on your F1 visa until, let's say, July 27th. That's the earliest you can come. We have one customs office offer on the 6th. This is not meant to be an in-person customs. This is meant to be a virtual customs. So those of you who are not planning to come, or those of you who want to try and wait and see if you have a visa, this July or August dates will work for you. If you have a visa, I strongly suggest you try to get organized and get your placement testing done before June 10th, so you can get your placement test, you can meet with your advisor, finish customs, and then register for classes. Okay, we're going to talk about fee payment in another webinar, but this will also trigger your fee payment schedule. Once you register for classes, it triggers your fee payment. So when you're trying to do customs, again, it's very convoluted. You're going to sign up. We have a specific date. You're going to sign up for the July 30th session. Okay, this is not going to be your actual session. Your actual session is going to be one of these 3 dates. There's going to be a link to a Google form. You need to fill out the Google form, send it back to the customs office. They are then going to email you when your customs session is. Okay, so you choose the date. On the Google form, you're choosing June 10th, July 15th, or August 6th. You must know the date you want. It's not July 30th, so this is a little bit confusing, but we will talk about this again later on. So again, customs are required for all undergraduate students. The exchange students do not need to do customs. You will have an advising session once you arrive. Part 1 of customs is the orientation. It's a slide presentation that you will do on your own. Part 2 is meeting with your academic advisor. The advisors are setting aside these 3 dates to meet with you. And so they are ready to meet with you on these 3 dates, probably in the afternoon or after you have finished the slide presentation. One thing you must remember, as all of these times, you must be available between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. This is Central Time here in Tennessee. So we are not going to ask our academic advisors to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning so they can advise you at a convenient time for you in your country. These times are set for Tennessee. You need to make sure that you're available between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Central Time on these dates. Okay, so I'm going to ask you, when I send you this email, I need you to read the entire email because there are several steps to the email. And if you just do one at a time, you're likely going to miss a step. Before you start the process, you need to know, do I want to do the customs June 10th, July 15th, August 6th? Have that decided. Make sure you finish the Google form and give them the date that you want to do customs, one of those 3 dates. You're going to your pipeline account. So again, you need to have your student account set up before you can do this. Apply and register for July 30th. Remember, this is not the date. You must register for this date to get exempted to attend virtually. If you don't apply for this date, if you choose another date, then they think you're coming to campus. Okay, so it's important you choose July 30th. for this date, and then do the Google form. That's the trigger for the customs office to know that you are an international student. You are going to do customs virtually. We need to set up one of these 3 dates for you. Okay, so when you have sent your form in and you've done the Google form, what you've done now is hold your place. And let's say July 15th. That doesn't mean you're already registered. You have to pay for customs. You have to make sure that you have gotten the email that they tell you this is your date for customs. So again, you check your MTSU email daily. So you need pipeline, you need your MTSU email. Last but not least, and again, this is the second time, make sure you are available Central Time in the United States. Whatever, if your advisor sets you an appointment at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and that is 11 o'clock at night for you, that's just the way it is. Okay? I lived in Japan. I used to call my parents at midnight because it would be lunchtime for them. It's just the way it is when you're living abroad. We get used to it. Okay, things to remember. Please follow each step. Again, read the entire email when I send it out to you. Follow the directions. If you do not do customs, if you have not completed the slide presentation, your advisor will cancel your appointment. If you get through the slide presentation, your advisor looks at your account, you have not taken the English survey, they will cancel your appointment. You need to make sure you have followed all of these steps to be able to meet with your advisor. If you cannot, let's say I decided I want to come, I get sick, I don't feel well, I have an emergency, you need to talk to the customs office directly. We give you the information. We do not schedule your customs appointments. We do not schedule your placement testing appointments. This is handled in a different office. We are just facilitating the information. Now, with customs, you're going to have to pay the full price, $35. Later, they're going to refund you $20, so the actual cost to you is $15, but you're not going to pay $15 or it won't go through. You have to pay the full $35. You will still receive a $20 refund later, and I don't know the timeline. Okay, I can see. Okay, immunizations is our next topic. And again, this is one you want to take care of now if you can. So you are required by Tennessee law to have 2 MMR, mumps, measles, and rubella, 2 varicella or the chickenpox. There is an internal hold on your account right now, put on by Health Services. And if you have not taken care of these 2, you will not be able to register full time. If you were on our webinar for the visa interview, you know that you have to be enrolled full time to remain in status for your F1 visa. Now, you can do, so some of these, like varicella is very difficult. Many countries don't have the varicella vaccination. So you can take both of those here, but you must make arrangements with Health Services to do that. Prior to coming, you must say, okay, I'm going to take the varicella vaccination as soon as I arrive in the United States, and I'm going to take the second one a month later. If you miss the second shot, they will drop all of your on-campus classes, and you are out of compliance. So if you agree to do both shots here, you need to make sure you follow up. If you don't, they will drop your classes and you are out of compliance, and my job is to send you home. So this is really, really important. It's not out there. It's not something that you see, and so it's easy to forget. This is one of the most difficult things to make sure we get in place before you come. It's easier if you can do it before you come. All right, so when you do your immunizations, again, you must have your student account set up. Health Services has a portal on their website that allows you to upload your vaccination records directly to Health Services. If you don't have your student account set up, you will not be able to do this. Health Services will then evaluate your records. they will back into that little portal. They're going to tell you, okay, you're good for MMR, but we need one more varicella. Or they might say, according to Tennessee law, you have to take these vaccinations after a certain age. You took them before this age, and so we need a booster from you. They will put all of this information in the portal. Again, our office is not involved. You must talk and deal directly with health services regarding your immunizations. Okay, housing. Last week we did a webinar on housing. So Matthew explained very carefully and very clearly what the housing situation is currently at MTSU. So currently housing is not full yet. There have been a lot of students who have applied for housing. So when you go to the portal now, you're going to be waitlisted for housing. It doesn't mean you won't get housing. It just means that they have reached the limit of applications. So what will happen? Some people will apply for housing and then decide not to come. Or they might apply for housing and then decide, oh no, I'm going to live with a friend off campus. So housing places, rooms will open up as we get closer to classes. But for this moment, you're on a waiting list. When the room opens up and your name is next on the list, housing's going to contact you. When they contact you, you have a limited time to get this information sent into housing. Okay, so when you get contacted, you need to submit then your down payment or the prepayment of $350. You need to submit proof of meningitis A, and you need to have the original signed and notarized financial guarantor form. Now, this form cannot be emailed. When I say original, I mean hard copy. So you need to fill it out. You need to have it notarized in your country. You need to have it physically sent to the United States and sent directly to housing, not to our office. We do not deal with these. They go straight to housing. The housing website has given you an address, a physical address that they want this form sent to. Again, it cannot be emailed. So it would be good to have this form prepared so you can send all these things as soon as you get email from the housing department that you're next on the list. If you miss that email, they could skip you and give that spot to another person. So it's also very, very important that you make sure you check your email every single day. And if they send you an email that you're next on the list, you've got to start moving, acknowledge, and start sending this information to them, or they will move on. Okay, this is the link for housing. Again, you must have your proof of meningitis or you cannot start the application. They won't even accept it. You cannot send the down payment, the guarantor, and do the meningitis when you come. They will not accept it. So make sure you have all your things ready for when that email comes. You must make your arrangements for housing. Our office does not have the capability of making sure that we can do housing. You do housing, you contact housing. They want to know you and they want to contact and communicate with you, not us. Okay, we're going to go to the review now. And I have a couple more things we're going to talk about. So when you come into the United States, you need to make sure that you are ready to come to the United States. So you've done everything for your academics, you've done your customs, you've done your placement test, you've got all that taken care of, but you still have to get here. So you need to make sure that you have your visa. You need to make sure, has there anything happened either with COVID? Has it resurged? Do we need vaccinations? Do the airlines have special requirements for you to get to the United States? Make sure your passport is valid. Make sure you have your I-20. Carry all of your good documents, your I-20, your acceptance letter. If you've scheduled classes, carry your schedule with you. Carry your financial documents, all of that in your carry-on luggage, not your checked luggage, in your carry-on luggage. Have it available in case the Border Patrol agent wants to see it. He has the right to ask you for anything he wants to ask you. Make sure that you have, when you get your visa, send us a copy. Send us, if you have been awarded the International Merit Scholarship, and you have not sent your form, this is mostly for our undergraduate students who have not been very good at sending their forms. You need to get that sent back to us, and especially read the very last sentence on that form. I put on that form, your return date of this form determines whether you get the scholarship or not. If you don't return it and we run out of money, you will not get the scholarship. So if you were trying to come in the spring, you knew that we ran out of money and we might run out of money again. If you have not returned this form to us, we cannot guarantee you will get the scholarship. So please return the forms to us. Okay, if you have questions, please email our office, but please, number one, look on the website for the answer first. Look on the email that we have sent you before, second, but the website is your first and best place to find information. Okay, international orientation. All of our students are required to take international orientation. If you are an F1 student coming on an F1 visa, you again have a hold on your account that requires you to participate in one of the 2 online orientations that we're going to have. So this is for all of our students. You have to attend one of these two events. The process is going to be, you're going to come to the event. At the very end, we're going to give you an email address. You email this address telling them, I've attended, I've saw everything. We're going to send you a quiz. This quiz is to let us know that you actually did attend and you listened and you participated and you understood. If you don't do the quiz, the hold on your account will not come off. And if you forget and then you try to register for spring 2025, you won't be able to because that hold is still there. And this applies to everyone. So if you have not taken on one of these 2 orientations as of August 20th, you will not make any changes to your schedule. You will not be able to do anything because that hold goes into effect on August 20th. Okay, international orientation. Some of the things we're going to cover F1 regulations, the schedule requirements. We covered a little bit about this in the visa interview. SEVIS compliance, what is that? We use this a lot. And employment, we're going to talk a little bit about employment. We're going to talk about insurance. We require all of our students on an F1 visa to purchase the university-sponsored insurance. And we do not waive the insurance requirement. As long as you are enrolled in classes, summer or not, you must have insurance. So we're going to go in great detail about this. The last thing we're going to talk about is academic integrity. Sometimes there's a different definition of plagiarism between countries, or what is cheating. We have a very narrow definition here at MTSU, and we're very careful to make sure that the students understand the rules. We have had students be reported to the Office of Academic Integrity and Student Conduct because of cheating and plagiarism. So if it is something serious, you can be expelled from the university. But if it's found, you will certainly go to the Office of Student Conduct. Okay, now the differences between our grad and undergrad. We talk a lot about grad, we talk a lot about undergrad. There are differences and similarities. So this chart's going to tell you what a grad needs to do, what an undergrad needs to do. So our undergraduate students, you must take the placement test. Again, our exchange students coming for 1 or 2 semesters through the Ed Abroad office, you do not need to take the placement test. You must attend customs. It's actually good for everyone to attend customs. Undergrads, you have a customs that we talked about. Grads do not need to do that. You must meet with an advisor prior to registering for classes, and you must follow all SEVIS compliance rules. That is one of the things, that's our major job for Ms. Toy and I. Our major job is to make sure that you are following your SEVIS compliant rules. If you do not, our job is to send you home. Simple, very, very clear. If you do not follow the SEVIS rules, if you don't register in classes, you don't attend classes, you go home. And I have sent students home. You must attend international orientation, what we just covered. Again, holds on the accounts. Nothing happens unless you release your holds. Our graduates, you do need to do our international orientation. You will have a separate orientation for graduate students with the department and the College of Graduate Studies. You may have an assistantship, and many of you have been awarded an assistantship. You must still follow all SEVIS compliant rules. And there's used to be some different definitions, but if you have a question, most of your advisors know to contact us. Do not listen to your friends. It's never good advice to listen to friends. You must attend your international orientation. This is required by all our students on our F1. And again, if you forget, it will come back in the spring 2025. You will not be able to register for classes. And it should not be a surprise. We will also, one of the things we ask you to do is when you arrive on campus, that you physically come to the office and give us your documents. The thing we really need is the I-9-4, and we will talk about this in orientation to let us know that when you entered the country, the Border Patrol gave you the correct status, and your I-9-4 lets us know, but we physically need you to come into the office. If you do not, we will place a hold on your account until you do come in and see us. So no surprises why you have an extra hold on your account. Very briefly for employment, because I know this is a burning question for everyone. When you're arriving, you're able to start working on campus. If you get a job, 30 days, when you're allowed to enter the United States, that 30 days, you're allowed to start working. Within that 30-day, you're allowed to enter the United States. You are only allowed to work 20 hours per week. That is not an average. It's not 21 this week, 19 the next week. 20 hours is the limit. The departments know this. They will ask us if there's a question. Do not try to get away with something more. If I know that you are working for 25 or 30 hours a week, knowingly that this is wrong, I will terminate you. When we terminate a student and send them home, there are positive and negative. Positive reasons are you decided to go home because a family member is ill. Negative is because we find you are working either more hours on campus or you're working off campus without permission. If that happens, you get a negative termination. Negative termination can affect if you try to get another visa at any time in the future. They will likely deny because you have a negative termination for unauthorized employment. F1 visa holders may not work off campus. Do not work off campus. There are only two reasons you're able to is if you have OPT or CPT. None of you can do this your first semester because you must be enrolled for an academic year before you're able to do OPT or CPT. We will talk about those later. Every semester we have an OPT and CPT webinar. I encourage you to attend so you have no questions, you know the procedures, and you know what you can and cannot do. And that's all I'm saying. Graduate assistants are only for our graduate students. They are awarded by the graduate college and by the departments. We do not give assistantships. We do have 2 graduate assistants in our office. They are doing an excellent job, and so we keep our assistants until they graduate, and neither one of them are graduating soon. So keep your eyes and ears open, but we do try to hire international students in our office. If you are a graduate assistant, you do not get the International Merit Scholarship. You must choose one or the other. if you are coming and you've been awarded the scholarship, but you also get offered an assistantship, you need to choose which one you're going to take. You cannot have both. Even if you're on a full assistantship, you can only work 20 hours a week. So you need to be careful. You do not get another job on campus. Only one. 20 hours is it. No more than that. All right. Webinars. We have a whole series of webinars. They're going to be every week, alternating Tuesdays and Fridays with a variety of subjects. I'm going to give you the next 3 or 4 in a minute. Undergraduate students, you must take the placement test. You must do the English survey. You must attend customs. Everybody must attend international orientation. Everybody must do the vaccination. Everybody travels to the United States, unless, of course, you're taking online classes. Okay, so our next webinars, the next one will be May 10th. We're going to talk about MTSU. May 14th, we're going to talk about some of the majors at MTSU. The colleges are up, and we're going to talk about the colleges. So if I want to go to the College of Basic and Applied, what kind of majors are in the College of Basic and Applied Science? May 24th, we're going to repeat our Visa and Immigration Basics webinar. On the 28th, we're going to have some of our students talking to you and answering questions about MTSU. From a student's perspective, what do they say about MTSU? And on June 7th, we're going to repeat this webinar for those of you who are ready for the placement test. And for students who are not yet admitted, but are going to be admitted soon, now what do you need to do? Okay, so this is our next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 scheduled webinars. We have them happening all the way up until August 20th when our international orientation webinar is scheduled. And that is actually during our orientation week. So some of you will be here on campus, some of you will not be. We're still going to do it virtual. But again, we have a lot of in-person events that week, the week before classes. Okay, so questions. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat. Again, no specific questions about my visa. When will I be admitted? You didn't answer my email. Not going to do that. Okay, and our students with a bachelor's in animation eligible to pursue the master's in fine arts. My gosh, it's only 8:45. That's a department specific question. So number one, I would suggest you go out to the website for the Masters of Fine Arts and find out what are the requirements for getting into the master's program. So if you have a bachelor's in animation, I'm taking your bachelor's of animation is from MTSU or another school, then you need to follow the directions that are on the website. But they outline all of the requirements. So I would go there first. Okay, no questions? Great. Okay, how do you know if you received my SAT scores? You should, number one, receive a confirmation that they were sent to MTSU. I want to say our code is 1460. I think that's our code. One of the ways you can check is if you can navigate back to your pipeline and to your checklist, that will help. The other way is to reach out to us and then we have to manually check. I'm also going to let you people know that at the end of May, we are going to switch our application software from one system to another. So we don't know how that's going to go. It's possible we will be turning off the applications for a couple of days to let us know that we are going to be working through the system, making sure all the information from the old applications are moving over to the new system. We're going to ask for a lot of grace because we may have a bit of a mess on our side for a few days until we know how this new system is going to work. So be aware that if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you're still processing your application around the end of May, there may be some difficulties and some confusion, especially on our side. Okay. Can you tell us about visa slots opening? No, we have no idea about visa slots. You need to go, if you're ready for the the step, you need to go to the embassy or consulate general where you're going to get your visa appointment. You need to go to their website because they will tell you what you need to submit and you need to fill out the visa application. But make sure you're going to the embassy that you want to go to, and they each will have their own specific requirements. We do not know what the embassy in Scotland is saying to their students. We don't know. So we cannot make a judgment on visa openings. When is the graduate fall 2024? We start August 26th. It's the first day of classes, and you must be here for the first day of classes. Undergraduate students, it's advisable to arrive a few days earlier. So you're over jet lag, you're comfortable, you have everything you need with you and have arranged all of your housing requirements before the classes start. Just to confirm, when I sign the July 30th customs, I have to choose one of the dates presented in the virtual session. Yes, the Google form will be in a link in the email that you get. But yes, you've got it. You need to choose July 30th, then choose one of your customs dates, fill out the Google form. The Google form is where you're telling the customs office which one I want to attend. So was it June 10th, July 10th, and August 5th? I think I got that wrong. I applied for MTSU, still waiting for an admit card. Okay, like I said, I'm not making comments on personal with your admissions or your I-20. I got my visa. What do you recommend I do first? Congratulations on getting your visa, first of all. And number two, send us a copy and then go to your embassy and start filling out the visa. I'm sorry, go back on that. You've already got that. Follow the steps on this webinar. Follow the steps to get your placement testing, get your custom sites, get your placement testing English survey out of the way. Follow these steps is your next step. But first of all, send me a copy of your visa. Customs is the university's orientation, and I know it's confusing. One of the things you must remember is when customs will use countries to group students depending on their major. So you might receive an email saying, okay, you're in Argentina. And you're like, no, I'm from the Bahamas. It's okay. They use countries to say, okay, everybody from Argentina may be aerospace. Don't worry if you see country names floating around when you're in the customs. It's okay. It doesn't mean you're from that country. It just means that that's how they're calling their majors. I really wish they would change it because it is confusing. But customs is a university's orientation. Assuming you live on campus, how much are you paid if employed on campus? No. I'm going to say that most of the going rate for the students that I see is between $10 to $12 an hour is what you're going to get paid. Most of what I've seen, the students coming through, you're going to get paid that much. Of course, if you're on an assistantship, it may work out to be a little bit more than that, but that's a whole different system. If you're working on campus, if you're working for the food services, if you're working for the library, if you're working for ground services, around $10 to $12 an hour. Depending on your housing cost, it may be enough. Oftentimes, it is not going to be enough to pay for your housing because you have a whole variety of price range when you go to off-campus housing. I advise to no. Working on campus is not going to be enough to pay for your housing and pay for any additional costs. You know, you're eating out with your friends once in a while, buying your books, buying pencils, buying gas for your car, those kinds of things is not enough. No. If I don't get admitted, can I defer? Can my application be deferred to the next semester? Correct. It can be at the undergrad level, it's a simple process. At the grad level, we're going to ask you to submit another application. You do not need to pay the fee again, but you do need to submit a new application, letting us know that we need to process you now for a new application. Please do remember that some of you will be making the decision after this new application software is up and running. I don't exactly know how that's going to look on your end or on our end, because we haven't been into it to really work with it and use it. So I'm saying at this process, send us an email. It may change. So don't hold me to that, and don't come back in October and say, but you said. I don't know what it's going to look like past May 29th. I really don't. Please, when are we expecting our admissions letter in F1 to start? Yes, and again, I don't know. It depends on when you have sent us everything we need. Your application and it being processed depends on us receiving everything we need. Now, at the graduate level, the portal may not be updated immediately. It may take a couple of days. So if I get a transcript coming from a university in the US, it may be 3 days before I see that transcript, because I don't get it directly. It goes to undergrad admissions. They need to get it processed and then sent to the student so I can see it. And then I can see it, I can process it. That may be 3 days. The same thing with the graduate. If we get a transcript, it may take 2 or 3 days before it's reflected in your portal. So if you submitted your GRE scores and you're emailing us and say, hey, I set my scores yesterday, I don't see it in my portal, we're going to say, you're going to have to wait. It's a process and it takes time. So it eventually will be updated in your portal. If you've gone a few days and you still don't see it, then please reach out to us and let us know. Maybe we need a reminder. Maybe we need to go and check. The system is not perfect, which is why we're changing to a new system. So we're hoping it'll be better, but it won't be perfect at the beginning. I have the I-20 now. If I take the SAT, will I receive the scholarship? Again, depends on your scores. If you take the SAT, yes, we do use the SAT scores to evaluate for the scholarship. It depends on your scores. You have to get within the ranges on the SAT scores. Okay, if you've applied, you're going to have to wait. If you've applied, you have an I-20 coming, you're going to have to wait. Can I change the term? And if so, where? If you are an undergrad, send us an email that you want to update. The applications for 2025 fall are not open yet. They won't open until later, but the applications for 2025 spring are open. And so you can defer to 2025 spring. I've got an offer letter still waiting for the I-20. You need to make sure that you've submitted all of your documents. Again, we can't process until we have everything we need. Meningitis, if you're doing on-campus housing, you must get the meningitis in your home country. If you wait to try to get housing to when you come to the United States, my guess is you will not get housing. You need to do your housing arrangements now, which means you need to send your meningitis now, which means that you need to take the meningitis vaccination now. If you wait till you come, you will not get housing. I would not think it's going to be full. Again, if you're waiting for the I-20, make sure we have everything we need. You can do the English placement test and the English survey after you get your visa. Absolutely. It just means that you're going to be delayed in registering for classes, and that's okay. We have many of our students do the placement test in August because I want to wait until after I get my visa. That's absolutely acceptable, and we understand that. That's why we have that August date. If you want to wait until you come here, that's fine. Just remember that some of the classes that you want to take might be full because we're going to have a big incoming freshman class. Okay, again, I'm not commenting on if you've gotten a place, you've applied, but you haven't gotten accepted. You've accepted, but you haven't gotten your I-20. It's a process. When am I supposed to get vaccinated if I'm coming for fall? You can get vaccinated anytime. The MTSU Health Services, I know they have limits on getting your MMR varicella after a certain date, and then if you're taking shot 1 and shot 2 have to be at least a month apart. So if you're having questions, number one, I would talk to your doctor. I would also show your doctor the forms that we have on the MTSU Health Services website. Health Services has a whole link. They have a whole homepage just for international students, explaining all of the rules and how they determine if the vaccinations are valid or not valid. I don't want to speak too much to it because I'm not a nurse, I'm not a doctor. I prefer you go to Health Services and get their explanation because they know it better than I do, and I don't want to misspeak. What is the estimated time to wait for all requirements are received to get a decision? Depends if you're grad and undergrad. We say 1 month from the day we have all required documents. 1 month from the day we have all required documents. If we're waiting for a document, we can't start counting. All right, we do the best we can, but it's incumbent on the student to make sure that we have received everything and everything is official. It comes from the school, from the testing service, not the student, not an agent, from a testing service and directly from the school. How do I know if I have accepted my scholarship form? I didn't get a confirmation email. Reach out to me and ask me. I've been trying to remember to send back that yes, I've received. In the beginning, I did not do this. If we had different staff, we did not do this. If you're a graduate student, you know by that dynamic form. If you submitted the dynamic form as a graduate student, then you know you have confirmed that. At the undergraduate, I will try to get back to you. Again, I don't know how many days it takes to get the offer letter. Depends on when we have all of your information. There's placement testing and English survey information. I'm going to be sending that email out hopefully today or tomorrow. I believe some of the departments have already sent the information to everybody who's been accepted. So you may already have it, but again, if you don't have your MTSU email, you may not have received that information. So please get your information from your MTSU email. Have that account set up. I currently got accepted. I would like to know when I'm getting my own email account. You set up your email account. You need to go to the homepage, go to Information Technology Department, and they have a site. They have a link for student accounts. Go Google it. Yeah, it's easy to find. Are you required? What are the requirements for housing? Are they due or after the wait list? Again, when you get your email, if you apply for housing now, you're going to be wait listed. Make sure you have your MTSU email set up, because when housing is ready and you're next on the list, they're going to send you an email telling you that they now need all of your information. That's when you make the down payment. You send your meningitis, and you also mail, not email, mail your guarantor form that has been completed and notarized. So that's after they email you. When you take the placement test and English survey is up to you. I can say that if you take it and you do not get the visa, it is still valid for the following semester. So you won't need to pay twice. For housing, do I need to fill up a form? Yes, you need to go to the housing website and get on the wait list. You need to do that today if you want to live on campus. I've submitted the SEVIS fee for spring 2024 admission. So, okay, I don't know. When you go pay that SEVIS fee, the 901 fee, there is a link there that allows you to check the status of your 901 fee. You need to go in and do this because you need your I-20, all your information. They will let you know if the 901 fee is still valid or if you need to pay again. They will not do this. If for some reason we gave you a brand new I-20, then yes, that same website will allow you to transfer your SEVIS fee to another SEVIS ID. We cannot do that. You need to process that as the student. Okay, the guarantor form for housing, that form is available on the housing website. You're going to take the link, you're going to print it out, you need to fill out the information, you need to get it notarized in country, and then physically send that form to the United States when they tell you that you are next on the list. So I would recommend having it ready, and then when your name comes up, you pay the fee, you fill out the paper, you send it out to them. And you're letting them know, yes, I want that spot. If you don't, they will move to the next person and you lose your spot. Yes, there is a fee for the placement test and the English survey. It's $50 for the placement test. The English survey itself is free. Next. Okay, thank you. Good. Okay. Again, we're going to repeat this one. This webinar will be repeated. I saw a point on the international student being able to work 40 hours during the semester breaks. No, I didn't talk about that because we're going to talk more about employment in our orientation. So I purposefully skipped over OPT, CPT, and gave you a very brief introduction to employment. I will talk more about that when we do our orientation, the international orientation in August. Which, if we're talking about the housing, for housing, it's on their website. If you're talking about our financial support form and our affidavit, then that comes to you attached to an email that Ms. Toy will send you as soon as you have been accepted into the university, both grad and undergrad. For housing, I've already sent the guarantor form. Great. The prepayment and vaccination requirements, and I got an email that my application is complete. Good. Wow. I just need to wait for assignment date. Yes, I would continue to watch your email. I know the housing has a lot of information about this processes and the dates that are appointment for assignment and self-assignment. So yeah, go out and read the website again for housing and really monitor your email so you're ready for when they tell you what to do next. Good job. Okay, anybody else? It's been an hour. I know some of you must be getting really, really sleepy. All right, so again, I forgot. When is our next webinar? May 10th. We're going to talk about MTSU, a little bit more detail, what the campus is like, what the housing is like, what the students are like, just in general. Our athletics, I'm particularly proud of our athletic program. We have a lot of international students, athletes in our athletic program. Almost every sport now, we have an international athlete. So it's fun to go watch them and support them. Okay, again, if you need to email me directly about your scholarship forms. I will look and see if I have it and I have it filed. Okay. I'm not making a judgment for sure. The question is if I cannot get housing, will I get a refund? I believe you will, but I'm not, because that's not my decision. It's a housing decision. I think some of that depends on how quickly and how soon you let them know that you're not coming, so they can open up that spot to another student. So, but that's a housing question. You need to reach out to them directly. Okay. No further questions. Then we are going to sign off. Thank you for joining us. I don't know how many do we have. I can't find my thingy. 51. Okay. All right. So if you have questions, let us know, but please do go to the website first. Try to find the answer by yourself. It's important to be independent. We have our next one and today's Tuesday, next Friday on the 10th of May. So we hope to see you then. Do keep note, we will be sending all of our webinars, a whole schedule for the month. We'll be sending that out shortly through Instagram. So do follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and our social media, as well as your email. Set up your email account so you get all your information from the email as well. All right. Thank you, everyone. And we will see you on campus. And I guess somebody trying to get in as we're trying to get out. Okay. All right. We'll see you in the next webinar on May 10th. So please do join us. Stay engaged. Let us know if you have questions. And we will see you on campus in August.